US President Donald Trump has launched a fresh tirade against India, announcing plans to substantially raise tariffs on Indian goods if re-elected. In fact, let's get the actual news which has just come in. It actually says, and I quote him, Donald Trump in a tweet has just put out, in which he has said India is not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, they are then for much of the oil purchased, selling it in open market for big profits. They don't care how many people in Ukraine are being killed by the Russian war machine. Because of this, I will be substantially raising the tariff paid by India to the USA. Thank you for all your attention, President Donald Trump. Disha, how should this be read? I mean, this is only escalation coming in from Donald Trump.
Absolutely, Maria. This is absolutely baseless provocation coming from US President Trump. And this comes just 3 days before the Trump tariffs are actually supposed to take effect on the 7th of August. But really, again, another provocation. We saw just last week that President Trump said that he's going to impose not just the 25% tariffs, which is already quite a high percentage of tariffs as compared to a lot of other countries in Asia, from Bangladesh to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and many of which US has reached deals with. But with India, he's imposed not just that 25% tariff, but also saying an additional penalty for India's purchases of Russian oil. But the fact that he's not just now said that India is buying this oil, but he's also accusing India of supporting the Russian war machinery, which is absolutely baseless. Because when you look at the Indian oil, who India exports this oil to, it is mainly the European countries. A majority of the oil that India takes from Russia, refines it, and exporting it is from European countries. But so that double standard really needs to be looked at, where on one hand European countries are giving aid to Ukraine, but now President Trump is saying that it is India who is supporting the war machinery. So absolutely baseless allegations from President Trump, but really a huge provocation given the fact that India-US trade negotiations are still ongoing. There's still talks going on to reach some sort of a pre-deal before the tariffs actually take effect. But again, another provocation, a pressure tactic, again weaponizing these tariffs against New Delhi.
Yes, Disha, a lot of questions that you're raising, rightly so. But what options does India have? And at a time that only last week, soon after Donald Trump announced 25% tariff, he went ahead and penalized 6 of Indian companies. There were sanctions announced against them.
Right. So again, another form of how President Trump is weaponizing sanctions, weaponizing these tariff and these trade tools against India to pressurize India to come to some sort of deal. But India has made its position clear that we are going to trade only on our own terms. We are not going to fall for these pressure tactics. And also the position is very clear that India-Russia ties cannot be seen through a third party's lens. India and Russia's relations are separate, and there's no need for other countries to use this relationship in a sense as a pressure tactic to benefit and reach some sort of trade deal. So that is what US President Donald Trump is trying to do. He's trying to, in a sense, now bring India into this whole tiff between US President Trump and Russian President Putin, which we've also been seeing unfolding in the last couple of days, where he's increased the pressure on President Putin to come to the table to reach some sort of ceasefire deal. But now also using that in a sense to get India to reach some sort of FTA deal, which is, again, a very extremely a provocation.